we're born to die. It's like this big elephant in the room that no one talks about, but everybody knows that it's not gonna skip you. Like, everybody who is alive will eventually die. That's just how it works. And it's crazy to me that we have yet to normalize talking about death. It seems like we just pretend like no one's thinking about it, but everybody's thinking about it. Like, I remember being a little girl thinking about death, and I probably even went to my parents and talked about it because we just have that kind of relationship that I felt like I could. But it doesn't take long for you to realize that it's a social stigma, and it's not something that people talk about like often before they start thinking that you've got a problem or that you're depressed or something other. But it's always been something that I've thought about. And it's just weird to me that the only time that we tend to think about death is when somebody dies, which seems like a really inconvenient time to talk about death, because at that time your emotions are taking over everything. You don't want to hear about the fact that, oh, everybody who lives dies. Like, that's not when you're missing whoever died. And so if we talk about death before something happens, it doesn't take away the pain of it happening, of course, but it does normalize it in your head and understanding that this is something that happens. So in 1996, I've talked about this before, my cousin was killed, and he was shot that morning, died that night. And 2 weeks later, my grandmother died. And so now we're in a space where not only are we talking about death, we're participating in it. And it's not the time to try to figure things out because you're mourning. So think about the idea of having conversations about death, not necessarily in a, this is, not that dark space that Hollywood portrays it as, but as a fact of life. Like, this happens, this happens, this happens, this is life, this is how it works. And we don't talk about it because we don't know all the answers, and that's okay. You don't need to know all of the answers in order for it to be true, right? Like, the truth is your people are going to die. So think about the idea of having a conversation so that it's easier on your spirit. It's a lightened load on your spirit. It's not something else that you have to drag around, because the reality is that it's not what is portrayed in the media. It really is. It's a part of life, and it's okay.